Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that has absolutely, completely changed the game for software deployment. We're going to demystify Docker. We'll take you all the way from those initial frustrating headaches of local development right through to launching multi-container applications that are fully ready for production. Let's just jump right in.
Well, it works on my machine. You know the phrase, right? It's pretty much the universal developer defense. And honestly, it's kind of the ultimate developer nightmare. You spend weeks building this incredible application. You perfectly configure the database, you tweak the web server, and it runs beautifully on your laptop. Then you hand it over to the ops team on a Friday afternoon, and by Saturday morning, your phone is ringing off the hook because your code just completely broke in production.
So here's our roadmap for today. First, the developer's nightmare. Second, virtual machines versus containers. Third, inside Docker's architecture. Fourth, containerizing a Java app. And finally, compose, networks, and volumes.
Okay, let's start with part one, the developer's nightmare and the real pain of inconsistent environments.
Seriously, think about the deployment process before we had modern tools. You write your code, you painstakingly configure your web server, set up your database, get the networking just right, and deal with all those underlying OS quirks. Now, how do you hand that exact setup over to your testing or operations team? Theoretically, the only way to actually guarantee they have your identical environment is to literally rip the C drive out of your Windows machine and hand it to them. Obviously, handing your physical hard drive to a colleague is a terrible, totally non-viable deployment strategy. And if they happen to be on a Mac or some different Linux distribution, well, everything still breaks.
Moving on to Section 2, Virtual Machines versus Containers. How we evolve the way we package software.
So initially, the tech industry tried to solve this with virtualization. You take your physical hardware, run a host operating system, install a hypervisor, and then install a completely separate, really heavy guest OS just to run your one app. If you had 5 apps, you needed 5 full guest OSs. It ate up a massive amount of RAM and CPU. Containers, on the other hand, share the host OS. They completely bypass the need for that heavy hypervisor and the full guest operating system. That makes them incredibly lightweight and just rocket fast to start up, while still staying highly isolated and secure. And this is exactly why Docker uses the physical shipping industry as its central metaphor. Think about it. Before standardized shipping, loading cargo onto a ship was this custom, incredibly tedious process of boxing and unboxing every single item. Then came standard shipping containers. You pack the container once at the source, that exact same waterproof, secure container goes right onto a truck, gets loaded onto a ship, and moves to a train at the destination. The cargo inside is never unboxed. Docker does the exact same thing, but for your software.
So let's formalize what this actually means. Containerization is creating a secure, completely isolated package of your software. That includes your compiler, your web server, your database connections, and your code, all wrapped up into a single container that you can ship to other teams or other machines. If it runs locally on your desk, that exact container is going to run consistently anywhere else.
All right, Section 3, Inside Docker's Architecture. Let's look at the engine under the hood.
Notice how these components perfectly separate responsibilities. As a developer, you don't actually talk directly to the container. Instead, you interact with the Docker client using your command line. The client then takes your requests and sends them over to the Docker Daemon. That's the background engine, often called Dockered. And that's what does the heavy lifting of building, running, and managing everything. Finally, we've got Docker Hub. This acts as a public or private registry where you can just pull down pre-built environments, like an official, ready-to-go Java or Postgres setup. Now, within this whole system, you really need to understand 2 critical concepts. First up is the Docker image. I want you to think of the image as a lightweight, read-only blueprint. It's just the inactive set of instructions and files. When you want to share your environment with someone else, you're actually sharing this image file. The second concept is the Docker container itself. If the image is the blueprint, the container is the actual house. It's the active, running instance that actually consumes your system's memory and CPU power. And the beauty is, you can use one single lightweight image to spin up dozens of identical, isolated containers if you ever need to scale your application up.
Section 4, Containerizing a Java app. Let's get practical with Spring Boot.
Instead of doing all that environment setup manually, we automate the whole thing using a simple text document called the Dockerfile. It's super straightforward. First, we use the from command to pull down an official OpenJDK base image, so our Java environment is just instantly ready. Next, assuming we've compiled our code into a jar file using Maven, we use the add command to copy that target jar file directly inside the image.
Finally, we set our entry point. This just tells Docker exactly which terminal command to run to launch our application when the container starts up. Just 3 lines of code, and boom, our entire environment is completely defined.
Once your Docker file is ready, you'll really just rely on a few essential terminal commands. You type docker build to read that file and create your image. You can verify it's actually there with Docker images. Then the real magic happens when you type docker run. That spins your image up into a living, breathing container. And if you ever lose track of what's currently running on your machine, just type docker ps to see all your active instances.
Okay, having our Java app containerized is a massive win. But let's ask a practical question here. What if your application relies on a Postgres database to, actually be useful? Because out in the real world, enterprise apps aren't just single, lonely containers. They're whole ecosystems of multiple interconnected services.
Which brings us to Section 5, Compose Networks and Volumes. We're orchestrating the final boss here.
So, instead of manually typing docker run over and over for every single piece of your tech stack, Docker gives us this amazing tool called Docker Compose. You just create one single docker-compose.yaml file. Inside it, you elegantly define all your services, like your Java app and your Postgres database. You can map your network ports to expose them to your local machine, securely inject environment variables, like your database passwords, and easily configure your internal networks and storage volumes.
Let's zoom in on networks for a second. By default, every container runs in total isolation. It's essentially a hermit. It doesn't even know the other containers exist. Docker Networks fix this by providing a secure, isolated communication channel. By configuring both your Java app and your Postgres database to sit on the exact same Docker network inside that YAML file, they can seamlessly and securely talk to each other without ever exposing that chatter to the outside world.
And then there's the absolutely critical issue of data. Imagine you run a database inside a standard container, you add a bunch of new student records, and then you restart that container. Without volumes? Poof, all your new data is permanently wiped out because the container just resets to its default blueprint state. But by declaring volumes in your compose file, you map a storage location inside the container directly to a permanent folder on your actual host machine. With volumes, your data safely persists. It entirely survives any container restarts or updates.
So your whole workflow becomes unbelievably streamlined. You write your Docker Compose YAML file exactly once. Then you just open your terminal and type one simple command, docker compose up. Docker instantly reads your file, pulls down any required images, builds your custom Java image, sets up that secure network, mounts your data volumes, and launches your entire complex application stack completely automatically. It's honestly like magic.
And this brings us to the ultimate payoff of everything we've talked about today. The exact container ecosystem you just built and tested on your local laptop, it is the exact same one that will run flawlessly on your coworker's machine, on the testing server, and deployed out in the cloud. The days of, well, it works on my machine are officially over.
You now have the blueprint to package literally any software consistently, securely, and efficiently. The deployment monster is dead. So I'll leave you with this provocative thought. Armed with the power of Docker, what containerized application are you going to build and ship to the world today?